Welcome to Worth Coin. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds impossible, yet some of the most ordinary-looking coins have shocked collectors with astonishing prices. And today we're talking about the fascinating 1988p Washington quarter. At first glance, it seems like just another quarter you might receive in change. But hidden details can transform this everyday coin into one of the most talked-about treasures among collectors. Some extraordinary examples have been described with values reaching an incredible $88 million in sensational collector stories. And before you dismiss that possibility, stay with me, because what makes certain 1988p quarters so extraordinary may surprise you. Also, don't go anywhere, because later in this video we'll uncover another mysterious quarter from a different year that has collectors searching through jars, drawers, and old piggy banks. But I'm not revealing which one is even more surprising just yet. The 1988p Washington quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint during a period when hundreds of millions of quarters entered circulation across the United States. Most people never paid attention to them because they were designed for everyday commerce, passing from one hand to another without a second thought. Yet history has shown that even common production years can hide remarkable rarities when unusual minting characteristics, dramatic errors, or exceptional preservation come together. That is exactly why experienced collectors never assume a modern-looking quarter is ordinary. Instead, they carefully inspect every detail under bright light, knowing that tiny differences can separate an everyday coin from one that becomes the centerpiece of an impressive collection. Imagine cleaning out an old kitchen drawer where loose coins have collected for decades. Among the nickels, pennies, and dimes sits a worn-looking 1988p quarter. Most people would immediately spend it on a cup of coffee or drop it into a vending machine without another thought. A collector, however, would pause. They would examine the mint mark, study the portrait of George Washington, inspect the eagle on the reverse, and search for tiny clues that others overlook. That simple habit has turned ordinary people into owners of remarkable collectibles more than once, proving that patience and knowledge can be just as valuable as luck. One reason collectors are fascinated by the 1988p quarter is the possibility of mint errors. Every coin begins as a blank metal planchet before enormous presses strike it with tremendous pressure. While the mint maintains incredibly high standards, the production of millions upon millions of coins means occasional mistakes can happen. Imagine discovering a dramatic off-center strike where part of the design is missing but the date remains visible, or finding a broad strike that escaped the restraining collar, creating an unusually wide appearance. Some enthusiasts also search for double design elements that make lettering or parts of Washington's portrait appear slightly duplicated under magnification. Others inspect every edge for clipped planchets, die cracks stretching across the surface, retained cuts, unusual die chips, or striking anomalies that make one coin stand apart from countless others. These unusual characteristics fuel excitement because every error tells a unique story about the moment that particular coin was created. Condition is another factor that dramatically changes collector interest. Most 1988p quarters entered circulation immediately after leaving the mint. They traveled through cash registers, vending machines, banks, laundromats, and pockets for years, collecting scratches, dents, and wear along the way. Finding one today with blazing original luster, razor-sharp details, and virtually no signs of circulation is significantly more challenging than many people realize. Collectors often compete fiercely for superb examples because preserving a coin in pristine condition for decades requires exceptional care and a little luck. Even tiny marks can influence desirability, making high-grade specimens especially exciting whenever they appear. Before we continue, remember that we still have another incredible quarter coming later in this series, and its story takes an unexpected turn that many collectors never see coming. Don't skip ahead because each coin builds toward an even bigger mystery, and the final details could completely change the way you look at the change in your pocket. Beyond its collectible appeal, the 1988 P quarter represents a fascinating chapter in American numismatic history. During the late 1980s, quarters were essential to daily life. They powered arcade games, parking meters, payphones, vending machines, and countless other everyday transactions. Millions of Americans handled them without imagining that decades later, enthusiasts would carefully examine the very same coins under magnifying glasses. That transformation from everyday currency to collectible artifact is part of what makes coin collecting so captivating. Every scratch hints at countless purchases. Every worn edge reflects years of circulation, and every surviving high-quality example serves as a time capsule from another era. Auction stories have only increased the excitement surrounding quarters from this period. Whenever an unusual example with exceptional eye appeal or a remarkable mint error appears before collectors, interest spreads rapidly. Bidders study photographs, compare certification details, and debate the rarity of specific characteristics. The atmosphere becomes electric because every participant hopes to secure something truly special. Even when the final hammer falls, conversations continue for months about what made that particular coin stand out. Those stories inspire thousands of people to search their own collections, wondering whether an overlooked treasure has been waiting in plain sight all along. Consider the thrill of a family opening an old inherited coin jar that had remained untouched for decades. They expect nothing more than loose change, yet every coin suddenly becomes an adventure. Each date sparks curiosity. Each mint mark raises questions. The humble 1988 P quarter becomes more than 25 cents. It becomes a mystery waiting to be solved. Perhaps it has an unusual strike. Perhaps it escaped circulation early and still shines brilliantly. Perhaps it carries a fascinating production anomaly that only a careful observer would notice. That sense of possibility is what keeps collectors returning to their collections again and again. Another reason this quarter remains popular is accessibility. Unlike coins that disappeared from circulation generations ago, examples of the 1988 P quarter can still occasionally be found in old collections, forgotten rolls, estate accumulations, and even circulating change. That means almost anyone can participate in the search without needing a fortune to begin collecting. Every handful of quarters becomes an opportunity, every bankroll becomes an exciting hunt, and every inherited box of coins becomes a potential treasure chest. The odds of finding something remarkable may be small, but the excitement lies in knowing that remarkable discoveries often happen when least expected. Experienced collectors also recommend paying close attention to the smallest design details. The lettering should appear crisp, the date should be examined carefully, the mint mark should be clear, and both sides of the coin deserve equal attention. Tiny die markers, subtle striking differences, or unexpected imperfections sometimes distinguish memorable coins from ordinary examples. Many discoveries occur simply because someone decided to look a little closer instead of assuming every quarter was identical. That mindset has fueled the hobby for generations and continues to inspire new collectors every single year. As the search continues, remember that stories of extraordinary coin discoveries often begin with someone who almost overlooked an ordinary-looking piece of change. They nearly spent it, nearly ignored it, or nearly tossed it into a jar forever. Instead, curiosity won. They inspected it carefully, learned something new, and uncovered a coin that became the highlight of their collection. Whether your own 1988 P quarter proves to be ordinary or unexpectedly special, the excitement of the search is part of what makes this hobby unforgettable. So before you spend your next quarter, take one extra look, because history has a habit of hiding fascinating surprises where nobody expects them. And don't leave yet, because the next quarter in this journey carries its own unbelievable mystery, complete with unexpected details that have kept collectors talking for years. If you think the story of the 1988 P. Washington quarter was surprising, wait until you discover what makes the next coin such an unforgettable find. Next, 1980 P quarter dollar. Most people spend this coin every day without realizing it could buy a mansion. That may sound unbelievable, but the 1980 P Washington quarter has become one of those fascinating coins that keeps collectors searching through pocket change, forgotten jars, and old family collections with renewed excitement. At first glance, it looks no different from thousands of other quarters produced during the same era, yet certain extraordinary examples have been surrounded by stories of reaching an astonishing 80 million Australian dollars in sensational collector discussions. How could an ordinary quarter command such attention? The answer lies in a combination of rarity, remarkable mint characteristics, exceptional preservation, and the endless pursuit of the perfect coin. As we unravel the mystery, you'll discover why so many experienced collectors never overlook a 1980 P quarter, no matter where they find it. The year 1980 was an interesting period for American coinage. The Philadelphia Mint was producing enormous numbers of Washington quarters to meet the country's growing demand for circulating currency. Millions upon millions of these coins left the presses and immediately entered daily commerce, finding their way into grocery stores, gas stations, restaurants, vending machines, parking meters, and countless cash registers across the nation. Because so many were produced, nearly everyone assumed they would remain common forever. History, however, has repeatedly shown that even years with massive mintages can hide extraordinary exceptions that collectors eagerly pursue decades later. Somewhere among those countless coins, a tiny number may possess characteristics that separate them from the rest, and that possibility keeps the excitement alive. Imagine receiving change after buying a cup of coffee in the early 1980s. Without realizing it, you slip a shiny new quarter into your wallet. Years pass. The wallet is replaced, the coin ends up in a jar, then eventually forgotten in the back of a closet. Decades later, while cleaning the house, you rediscover that forgotten jar. Most people would see nothing more than loose change, but a collector sees potential. They begin sorting each coin by date, checking mint marks, examining surfaces under bright light, and searching for unusual details. When they reach the 1980 P quarter, they don't rush. Instead, they carefully inspect every line, every letter, and every edge, because they understand that remarkable discoveries often begin with coins everyone else ignores. One of the biggest reasons collectors examine the 1980 P quarter so closely is the possibility of mint errors. Every coin is created under enormous pressure as hardened dies strike a blank planchet. Although the mint's quality control is exceptional, the production of hundreds of millions of coins means occasional mistakes can occur. Some enthusiasts search for dramatic off-center strikes where part of the design extends beyond the edge while the date remains visible. Others hope to find doubled lettering that appears slightly duplicated under magnification, creating an eye-catching effect that immediately attracts attention. Broad strikes, die cracks stretching across the surface, clipped planchets, retained cuds, die chips near important design elements, weak strikes caused by insufficient pressure, and other striking anomalies all contribute to the fascination surrounding this date. Every unusual feature tells a story about the exact moment that specific coin was struck, making each era unique in its own way. Then there is the importance of condition. Most 1980p quarters spent years circulating from one pocket to another. They picked up scratches, worn edges, contact marks, discoloration, and countless tiny imperfections that naturally occur during everyday use. Finding one today that still displays brilliant original mint luster, sharply defined details, and almost flawless surfaces is considerably more difficult than many people expect. Collectors often compete intensely for coins preserved in extraordinary condition because time is rarely kind to circulating currency. A single tiny mark can influence how desirable a coin becomes, which is why pristine examples continue attracting so much interest whenever they appear before experienced buyers. Picture a collector attending a local coin show. Table after table displays hundreds of Washington quarters, yet one particular 1980p immediately captures attention. Under the display lights, its surfaces glow with remarkable brilliance. The details on George Washington's portrait remain crisp, the lettering appears razor-sharp, and the reverse design stands out with exceptional clarity. Conversations begin. Collectors lean closer. Magnifying glasses come out. Everyone wonders whether this coin possesses something truly extraordinary. That moment of anticipation is one of the reasons coin collecting remains such an exciting hobby. Even before anyone knows the full story, curiosity fills the room because every remarkable coin starts with someone taking a closer look. Stories passed among collectors only add to the excitement. Some speak about inherited collections where overlooked quarters remained untouched for decades before revealing fascinating characteristics. Others describe searching through thousands of bank-wrapped rolls before finally discovering a single example worthy of special attention. These stories remind collectors that persistence often matters more than luck. The next exciting discovery might not come from an expensive auction or a museum display. It could appear inside a forgotten piggy bank, a family coin album, an estate collection, or even the handful of change sitting on your kitchen counter right now. That possibility keeps collectors motivated year after year. Another fascinating aspect of the 1980p quarter is its connection to everyday American life. During the early 1980s, quarters were indispensable. They powered arcade games where children competed for high scores, operated payphones before mobile phones existed, fed parking meters in busy cities, started washing machines at laundromats, and purchased snacks from vending machines. Every quarter carried a history of countless transactions, silently passing through thousands of hands. Today, holding one of these coins feels like holding a small piece of history that witnessed an entirely different era. That emotional connection makes collecting about far more than money. It becomes a journey through time. Auction excitement has also fueled interest in remarkable quarters from this period. Whenever an unusually preserved example or an impressive mint era reaches the market, collectors study every available image with incredible attention to detail. They compare strike quality, surface preservation, eye appeal, and unique characteristics before deciding how far they are willing to bid. The suspense builds with every offer until the auction finally closes, often leaving collectors discussing the coin long afterward. Those memorable sales inspire countless others to revisit their own collections, wondering whether they may have overlooked something equally fascinating. If you've been watching closely, now is the perfect time to remember that the search doesn't end with this quarter. Another coin in this journey has its own remarkable story waiting to be revealed, and while I won't spoil the surprise, I can promise that its mystery has captivated collectors in a completely different way. That's why you should stay until the very end of this series, because each coin adds another layer to the incredible world of rare quarters, and the biggest surprises often arrive when you least expect them. Imagine opening a family coin album that hasn't been touched in 40 years. Page after page reveals coins collected by a parent or grandparent who carefully saved examples they believed were special. Among them sits a bright 1980p quarter. At first it seems ordinary, but closer inspection reveals subtle characteristics that deserve further examination. Whether it turns out to be a fascinating mint error, an exceptionally preserved survivor, or simply a beautiful reminder of history, the excitement comes from the discovery itself. Every collector knows that feeling, and it never grows old. Before you spend another quarter without looking, remember that remarkable finds often begin with curiosity. Most people never examine the coins they receive and change. They never notice small differences, unusual features, or outstanding preservation. Collectors, however, understand that hidden treasures rarely announce themselves. They wait quietly until someone pays attention. That simple habit of looking more carefully has transformed countless ordinary moments into unforgettable discoveries throughout the history of coin collecting. And with that, the story of the 1980p Washington quarter reminds us that extraordinary possibilities can hide inside the most ordinary pocket change. Whether your own example proves to be common or surprisingly unusual, every search teaches something new and brings you one step closer to an exciting discovery.